Soy una mujer sin culpa. I'm really feeling myself in this really cute shirt from my friend Liz, who I'm going to be speaking a lot about today because she's a multi-passionate entrepreneur like me. Not only is she now the co-founder of this collaborative fashion line with my other friend, Mickey from Passion Threads. She's also a creative executive virtual assistant, and she's also a coach herself and a mom of 3. And it's just really amazing, right? What mujeres can do when we're living unapologetically ourselves. And that's what this brand is all about. She has her own podcast called Mujer Sin Culpa. And I actually got to feature on her podcast. My mom and I did a feature on her podcast, and I can't wait to have her one day on mine. But for today, let's take it back to 3 days before I launched this podcast. Welcome to month 2 of the There She Goes podcast. I can't believe that it was just a month ago that I was scrambling to get to launch. And that's what I'm really excited to talk to you about today. So today is all about throwing it back to the 3 days before launch. It was a mega scramble, super chaotic. It was an all-nighter, multiple nights in a row. Think back to college right before finals. Like, that's what this launch was like. Even though I had my neat little, multi-step planned launch roadmap, I've been, planning this for a while, and I had been working at it, chipping away at it since December 2025, going on to February 2026. So it's like a 3-month launch roadmap. But of course, your girl left a few last minute things till the end. One of those was my cover art. Yeah, as in like one of the most important parts of the show. The very first thing you see when you look up my show and interact with it, it's like my calling card, right? And catch me 3 days before the launch of the podcast, literally going through Canva, like scouring through Canva, looking up all the templates I could find, all the hacks, last minute, of course. I'm talking like I spent 4 to 6 hours doing this cover art, trying to do it myself. Now, something about me is I have a more natural inclination and talent towards the performing arts, not so much the visual arts, especially when it comes to drawing. There's just something, I think that my brain doesn't necessarily visualize things. So it's like, I can take templates and I might like what I see, but I don't know how to execute myself. So I sent my first iteration to my cousins, who I love and trust very much. And I said, you know what? Be honest with me. How bad is it? Is this trash? Do I need to start over? And they very lovingly and gently redirected me and said, we love you and we want your cover art to really represent what your brand is all about and what we can expect when we interact with you. And this is not really reflecting the quality of that work. Really beautiful, wise words to basically say, start over, start from scratch. So there I am, 3 days before launch, honestly, super stressed, feeling like crying, feeling like, am I going to make it to launch? Am I going to have to launch with a really ugly cover art? And that's that, that looks like it was made on Windows Paint. I don't know. So in the midst of this chaos and literally being on my couch, and I'm talking like 3 days before the launch, I kid you not, every single day before launch, the 3 days back to back in a row, I was sleeping at 3 in the morning. And your girl still has a full-time job. So I was doing the full-time job and then going straight into podcast tasks all throughout the night. So, I probably put in over 20 hours of working on the podcast launch in the final stretch. I still had anywhere from editing episodes to how do I do show notes to how do I publish the episode. I had a lot going on. And so in the midst of this chaos, I'm so proud that I've built a community throughout the years so that I was able to quickly reach out to a few of my friends and community members I've met along the way, both to vent, but also to ask for help. So one of the people that I reached out to was my friend Liz that I mentioned a little bit at the beginning. She is a really great friend of mine who owns her own podcast, Mujer Sin Culpa, which I'm repping today, really loving the brand. And she also has a vision for graphic design that I just don't have. So I reach out to her, a little embarrassed, a little chaotic, little, about to cry, and just go like, "Hey, how much are your packages again? And oh, by the way, like, how crazy would it be if you help me with my cover art? And I know it's a really rushed timeline. I'm so sorry. I should have asked sooner." She was amazing. She's like, "Girl, I got you. Calm down. Like, let me see what you've got." And also redirected gently and said, "I love you, but we need to like up the energy. Like, let's elevate your brand look." And she was so right. So she took a rush job with vague, chaotic vision. I'm talking like 97 screenshots and Pinterest boards and all these things that I liked. And of course, they're all different. And she managed to take that all in 3 days and come out with genuinely what I believe looks like a movie poster. It's not just me. I actually heard multiple people call it, whether a movie poster or just they were just really impressed with the art. And I loved it. It was so representative of what you can expect, the quality and just the fun and the energy you can expect on the show. It's all thanks to her and her magic. And it's also thanks to me learning how to delegate. So raise your hand if you're that person too that is always struggling to ask for help and you think that there's a medal out there for doing it all on your own. Like, girl, there isn't. I'm like that too. I do struggle asking for help and knowing like when to ask for help, because clearly here I am 3 days before the launch asking for help last minute. But I had to come to terms with my capacity. I had to come to terms with where am I naturally inclined to, do well at and to not take so much time on, and what's important enough that I do need to delegate so that I can really show my best foot forward, like really present my best self, and especially with something so important. I think it's also important to note that the reason that I was taking so long to work on this cover art is the procrastination rises to the level of importance and the level of expectation that you have of yourself over what you're working on. So, because the cover art is so important, I procrastinated because I was afraid that I wasn't going to meet the expectations. But all I did is I created a self-fulfilling prophecy because I knew that I didn't quite have the skill sets. I tried to push myself to do it on my own. And then I had to come to terms with this is just not my strong suit, and that's okay. That's why we all bring talents to the table. Every single one of us brings a different talent, brings a different flavor. That's why community is so beautiful and it's so important. And I'm so thankful and so grateful that Liz said yes, even though that was a rush job. She didn't just do my cover art, she also ended up giving me an arsenal of social media, like podcast graphics that I can use on repeat now for every episode, whether it's solo or guest episode. So it was amazing, and I'm so glad I did it. And Liz and I actually, through that experience, it's so cool, I think, where community can take you, because now we get to collaborate too. So we partnered together to bring that same magic to you if that's something you want and are interested in. She is happy to give the There She Goes community a 10% discount on her podcast cover art and social media graphic packages. So check out more details in the show notes. Reach out to me, reach out to Liz, and mention that you're part of the There She Goes community to take advantage of that discount. So definitely wanted to spread the magic there. And that is just the beauty of community. So it's not just the fact that I was able to quickly get on a call and get my needs resolved. Like, I also got to then be on her podcast. Like, my mom and I got to be on her podcast. I want to bring her onto the podcast. I get to wear her awesome merch today. So, we support each other. We invest in each other and each other's businesses with time, energy, finances, supporting by shouting each other out and saying our names in different rooms. And that is the power of community. That's why I'm so passionate about it. That's why this is what I'm building here. This is what There She Goes is all about. I want you to also be able to have your community of women where when you're struggling one day, you can be like, hey, I know Liz, or I know who to call. I know, oh my God, I know who's great at websites, and I know who's great at this. And you know what? And then I can help them with systems. And that's how it works, right? So we all help each other out and we all help each other win. So really passionate about it. And just a little bit about the shirt if you are curious and love it. If you're Latina like me, you don't have to be. But the Mujer Sin Culpa line is another beautiful collaboration between my friends Liz and Mickey from Passion Threads. So they made this fashion line. Mujer Sin Culpa is the name of Liz's community and podcast. And really what that is women, women without guilt. And so really what it means is living life on your own terms, being unapologetically yourself without guilt, not feeling guilt for not following a path that society, laid out for us, and being outspoken and being true to yourself. So I love this. And she also donates 10% of the proceeds to immigrant families. So it's just a beautiful cause. And it's right on board with my bilingual and bicultural experience myself. So if you're interested, I also included that in the show notes. So I hope that this episode resonated with you, especially I think a lot of us high achieving women tend to be the women that don't know how to ask for help. And frankly, women in general, like even more so than men, I feel like we feel like we've got to take things on ourselves and stay quiet and, don't make waves and don't bother anyone. I feel like that there's like this running theme of, there's too much apologizing going on. I'm saying I'm sorry. Like, no, that's what this is about. No guilt, there's no guilt. There's no shame in asking for support. There's no guilt, there's no shame in being yourself and delegating and staying in your zone of genius. So I hope this resonated, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.